want to see that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't. That's hot. That's scorching.
That's a scorching ass hot take right out my butthole. I'm telling you right now.
All right, there's probably the kids that may end up watching this.
Listen, when I post these videos, I make sure I hit the checkbox and say, "Yo, not for kids." So we're good.
Well, if that's the case, I'm just saying that take is like you doing yard work in 98-degree weather, booty hole sweaty. Like that's terrible. Like that is a bad take.
Welcome to Feast or Fumble. I'm the real Kris Mac. I'm here with a couple of my nearest and dearest. We got Mr. Chino, Patty Puts. How you guys doing today?
Good morning. Doing good, Chris. How are you?
Doing well. Special shout out today to Mr. Patty. Birthday. Happy birthday, my man. Thank you for gracing us today with some time to talk these sports takes, man.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. I love this.
Nice. Let's get right into it. Right?
We're not gonna sing. Hold on, we're not gonna sing?
No, we're not gonna sing.
No. That wastes too much time.
This is not one of those types of.
To you.
Oh, here we go. This is not that kind of podcast, my friends. So we're talking NBA playoffs. A couple of the first round series are done. Knicks with a big 4-2 win against the Sixers. Let's react. Mr. Chino, starting with you. What are your thoughts so far? The floor is yours.
Yeah. So first and foremost, like, a surprise for me is, a lot of great things have happened. A couple sweeps, a couple like really good and competitive series. But I think for me, the biggest surprise is just the Bucks. Not really a positive thing. Like, Dame and Middleton couldn't do it themselves. They weren't enough for the Pacers. Where's Giannis? Like, I know he's hurt, but like, look, Embiid was hurt. But it's playoff time. Like, play through it. Like, if you really want to win, if you want to be the best in the world, play through it. Figure it out. Like, you're a professional athlete. I don't know how serious his injury was, but, like, did you all hear anything about, like, oh, well, he may come back this game, or he, he's going to miss a couple games? It was kind of like they never announced, like, he was completely out or not. And, like, again, like, you're supposed to be, like, the player, like, top 5 player in the NBA, and there was no conversations around you coming back or not. So, I think that's one of the biggest surprises of this. Like, Dame balled out in a couple games. Middleton was the leading scorer in the series for the team, but like, them two together were just not enough for the Pacers. The Pacers ran the floor. Their bench was better than the Bucks. Just really outplayed them. It was kind of like they depended on, Bobby Portis being the third best player on that team and him really like balling out. But like, we all know that Bobby Portis isn't that. Like, he may have his games where he can give you like 15 to 20 points and give you like maybe 10 rebounds, but like, that's not happening every game, especially in the playoffs, especially against a team that likes to run the floor. Like, the Bucks are not a fast-paced team. The Pacers are. They're going to push it. They're going to get the board and push it. And again, they had more depth in regards to that series. So I think that's the biggest surprise for me. What do you got, Pat?
Yeah, Sean, I'm definitely with you on that one. Really, really shocked and disappointed by the Bucks. I thought that they were going to be a surefire, top 3 team in the East, and it just didn't happen. My big surprise is the young guns taking over out West. So we all watch the basketball in the Western Conference. It's a little bit more high scoring, a little bit faster paced, a little bit more exciting. So the Nuggets obviously did their thing. We expected them to sweep. But the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves, not so much. We're getting to see SGA and Ant-Man completely take over games. This is the new movement of the NBA. These guys are the next generation of NBA superstars. Everyone should be watching and paying attention every single night. I would not be surprised one bit if one of these two teams surprises the Nuggets, and then we see a new team in the NBA championship this year. I'm extremely excited about watching the basketball coming out of the West, and I think it'll just get better and better. What do you got, Chris?
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of those sentiments. Yeah, surprise for me definitely has to be Ant-Man in the playoffs, man. Like the sweep is one thing, but like the just utter like disrespect of the Phoenix Suns and Ant-Man then going on to say like, yeah, Kevin Durant's my favorite player. Like, sure, and then calling him an old ass ninja on TV. That's probably like one of the best playoff moments I've had so far. And then you talk about the youth movement, Pat. I would even throw Tyrese Maxey in that conversation as well. People forget he's only 23 years old, and he's damn near had a 50-point game in that Sixers Knicks series. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I think my biggest disappointment has to come with staying in the West, the kind of like the changing of the old guard. You got LeBron James out the playoffs. You got Kevin Durant out the playoffs. Steph Curry didn't even get past the play-in tournament. So, these guys are first ballot Hall of Famers when when their time is up, when they decide they're not playing anymore. But the fact that we don't have any of them, any of like the mainstays from the previous generation in the playoffs right now, it's a little disappointing. But to your point, I am super happy to see all of this young blood, the youth movement in the NBA shining on the brightest stage. So do we want to keep it positive?
Well, listen.
Or do you have any other points?
I would just say that disappointment for me kind of goes along the lines of what you said. Like, changing of the guard is happening. Like, it's obviously the generation is changing. Like, old out, new in, young in. I'm sorry, but for me, like, yeah, Minnesota and Anthony Edwards are they were one of the best teams in the West. But like for them to like for the Suns to get swept like that's bad. Like, have y'all seen what they have for the next 6 years? They have no picks for the next. They have no draft picks for the next 5-6 years, and they have to pay Beal $50 million a year for the next 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all their money is in those three players. They basically they said all in. Like, we're going with Booker, Durant, and we're gonna trade and get Beal, give everything up, and have that be our big three.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do, they shit the bed. Like, I was looking at statistic wise, like, Devin Booker was literally negative efficiency in 3 of the 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant was negative efficiency in all 4 games. Like, they literally got dominated.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't think there wasn't a single game where it was like, all right, we think the Suns are gonna win. Like, they were getting destroyed every single game. And I think it was like late in games too. It was like middle of third quarter, late in the fourth quarter. You turn the game on, it's like they're down by 20. They're down by 50. They were just getting destroyed, like manhandled. And that like come on, we're not Booker and Durant they were talking about they were in the top 10 MVP race, right? We had that conversation.
Both of them.
We literally talked about that.
Both of them.
And for them to go against Minnesota and just get dominated like that, like, that's the disappointment. Because now they're screwed. They are literally screwed for the next 5-6. They got to blow it up. They literally going to have to trade away, and they're going to have to suck for the next 5 to 6 years. They're basically going to have to. Remember when Beal was on Washington? It was just Beal, and it was just like nobody else. And Washington was just nobody ever talked about because they were just at the bottom of. That's what the Suns are about to be. They have to trade Booker, trade Durant, convince people to, hey, we'll pay half their contract, you pay the other half, and just take them off our hands because we need to reboot.
Hey,
like, am I crazy?
Bring Booker to the Knicks. That's all I'm saying. That's
all
I'm gonna say.
I don't know about that. We can talk about that. I don't know about that. About it. But that's me. That's the disappointment for me. Like, the Suns just like, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was a disappointment for me as well. And it's also in relation to that. the story of Devin Booker right after they lost getting traded to the Knicks drives me a little nuts. You hear the Anthony Davis, the LeBron James at the beginning of the series. We had a special conversation. We're ready for them this time. After Game 3, it's just basketball. What happened, guys? No, this is the NBA playoffs. You guys are the LA Lakers. You guys should be competing for the championship every single year. And now it goes from the Lakers' disappointment to where's LeBron going? I don't care where LeBron's going. We have the NBA playoffs going on right now. And that kind of drives me a little nuts. It's constantly this players changing teams to chase a championship. Where's he going next? Where's he going next? The Knicks don't need Booker right now. The Knicks are in the middle of a run in the Eastern Conference. Let's focus on that and just leave all that noise outside. So I was really disappointed with the way that the Suns and the Lakers series ended, and then just the way that the media grabbed it and how they kind of steered the topics in that direction rather than the good basketball that's being played in the rest of the NBA.
I agree with you guys. And you kind of like are seeing a shift. Like, you know, you look back kind of like, you know, LeBron to the Heat era, even if you go back to like, you know, 08 and like the Boston Celtics. Like, I think the era of the super team is kind of dying. Like, you can't just literally get a bunch of superstars, put them on one team, and just hope that their talent just meshes together. We're seeing, you know, the opposite of that, where like teams that are like constructed top down with like one or two guys and a bunch of like solid basketball players are the ones that are advancing. You look at Oklahoma City, you look at Minnesota, you look at the Knicks, you know, put Boston in there. It's like their roster construction is like top tier. You know, they're not just like banking on like guys that are ISO players or guys that do like one or two things well. It's like, no, everybody has a role, everybody has a fit, and you know, we're seeing like these cohesive teams. Denver, another one, cohesive teams where like all the parts fit together and they're getting deep runs. You know, we're gonna see probably Denver repeat in the Western Conference Finals this year, and we're gonna, you know, we have all these other new teams that like are pushing the old teams out that we've seen. To one thing that you said about Giannis, Sean, I don't necessarily blame him for not coming back when he was injured, because we did see, you know, the 1 year Kevin Durant had when he got injured in the finals for Golden State. When it's a calf or like an Achilles, like all of that is connected. And Giannis is like a super explosive, you know, athletic player. Like he's not like, yeah, he has some skills, but he's not like, you know, Kyrie Irving, like where he can just rely on his basketball skill. He has to rely on his explosiveness. So if he has any inkling that, yo, my calf just ain't right, I can't knock him for like not playing in this series, to be honest. Especially considering he's already won a championship. You know, he is in the prime of his career right now. So you got to take those precautions. Plus, I didn't really think they were going to beat the Pacers, to be honest.
Yeah, but to that, I get you. But to that point, like, there was no conversations around. Like, I guess there was like a slight bit of hope, but like, there was no conversation of like Giannis is out this series. Like, that's it. Like, if the Bucks, I feel like the Bucks knew that he was not going to be out, and they probably didn't want to share it. But like, for then Giannis at the end, his exit interview to say, like, I wasn't even close. Like, there wasn't even a chance that I was going to play in any of the games. Like, even if we would have won Game 7, I wouldn't have played. Mm-hmm. All right, then just announce that. So then we can just talk about like, all right, yeah, the Pacers are going to win this series, and that's it. But maybe that's just me. I'm just like, I get it. Calf injury is definitely tough, especially at the way he plays the game. Fast paced, big body, kind of like Embiid. But just say that. I don't know. That's just my feelings about it. You know what I mean? Could be crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some gamesmanship too. Like, if you're the Bucks, like, you don't, if the hope or the idea that Giannis could come back for any of the games could put a little rattle in the Sixers game, or not the Sixers, in the Pacers game, I would utilize that all day. Like, you know, give some information. Like, you know, he was injured end of regular season. If there's like a potential he could come back, okay, maybe guys tighten up the way they play a little bit. Maybe they get a little bit rattled. Like, okay, we could see Giannis in game 2. That's kind of like, the mental gymnastics that you got to play with teams sometimes. But I get what you're saying. Like, if he wasn't gonna play at all, say it end of regular season, then your guys can just be like, all right, cool, we don't got Giannis, we just gotta push forward. Cool. We ready to get on these Knicks, man? This Knicks victory. So Game 6, Philly happened on Thursday. Man, I'm not gonna lie, this series was like old school NBA for me. This was like a prize fight. Like everybody throwing haymakers, throwing their best shots. I saw a stat that like the total points for all the games in this series, there was only a differential of 1. It was 650 points to 649 points. Knicks edged out the battle there. So this was like a much tighter series than I think anybody expected it to be. Pat, give me your thoughts. Knicks prevail over the 76ers to move on to the second round.
Well, I could just lead with I'm glad the series is over. It was, edge of your seat, must-see TV, just like you said, back and forth battle, physical. Back in, the 90s Knicks, it reminded me of just pure physical play. Everybody kind of beating the crap out of each other a little bit, but still playing really, really good basketball. Just really glad the series is over and that we're advancing more than anything. Couldn't be happier. The Knicks came together as a team. The one big thing that stuck out to me is Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, already an all-star, already borderline an all-pro NBA player. He had another level, and I didn't know he had that extra level. The last 5 games, he was 41 and 12, 40 and 6, 47 and 10, 39 and 13, and then he had 24 points, 6 assists, and 8 rebounds. The guy's doing it all. He's getting his butt kicked every single time up and down the court. Everybody's trying to be extra physical with him. He's just been a revelation. I can't remember the last time the Knicks had a superstar that made me this excited and made me feel this confident going into almost any game that we play. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. He's him. We've been talking about this for months now. Like, he's him. He's established that he is a top 5, top 10 player in the NBA, and he's a superstar, and nobody can guard him. Like, nobody has an answer for him. It doesn't matter. And like, the Sixers were doing a great job of, like, trying to throw different people at him. Like, Oubre kind of gave him some problems just because of his length and how he plays defense. But, like, it didn't matter. They threw the kitchen sink at him, and he was still, I'm getting to my spots. I'm getting to the free throw line. I'm not letting us lose this series. Like, it's not happening. And that's kind of like the mentality he went into it. So I love that. I think for me, the biggest piece is I admitted it early in the season, and I apologized. But Josh Hart, that's it, dude. Like, he is our X factor. Period. Point blank. Period. The dude plays every minute of every game. He when he scores points and he rebounds the ball for us, we win the game. Like, we are very likely to win the game when he does that. Like, I was watching a video of when they showed the reaction of Jalen Brunson when he found out that Josh Hart got traded to the Knicks, and he was like ecstatic. Like, he just fits the mold of what we want. Like, Chris, you alluded to it. Like, hard-nosed, gritty, old-school 90s basketball. Like, he's with it, and he's with all the smoke. All of it. He's going to bang with the bigs and get rebounds. He's going to go to the rack. It doesn't matter who's in front of him. He's going to die for the loose balls. Like, that's a part of why we won the series, because he played the role player role that we needed. I think overall, what we saw in this series is, I told y'all, like, we were afraid if we were going to play the Sixers and Embiid was healthy. Embiid wasn't healthy, and we still had mismatch. I think it's just mismatch problems for Mitch and the way we play with iHeart. But we outplayed them on defense. We out rebounded them on the boards. We out hustled them. Coaching wise, we out coached them. I kept saying to y'all that Tibbs just kept making the adjustments that he needed to make. If DiVincenzo needed to play more minutes, he did it. If DiVincenzo, as we said in the series, wasn't showing up well, McBride, step up. Like, he made those adjustments. Same thing with iHeart. We saw that, there were a couple games where Hartenstein was playing well against Embiid, but then to a certain point, Embiid started to get a little more healthier, and he started to figure out his game, and he started dominating. What did Tibbs do? All right, Mitch, we're gonna give you more minutes. Go bang with Embiid. We made those adjustments, and we outcoached Nurse. And you saw it point blank period, the last game of the series, where, and that, for me, that defined that Tibbs should have been in the conversations of Coach of the Year. Nick Nurse, literally, Buddy Hield killed us in that second quarter. Killed us. And then what happened? He literally sat the whole third quarter. Somebody was hoping for the Knicks to win because of that.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't play the third quarter. Like, if he was on the Knicks, that's an adjustment you make as a coach. Like, hey, I don't care that I love Lowry. I don't care that we traded to get him. I don't care that Tobias Harris makes $50 million and he's a freaking getting cardio in. Like, Buddy Hield, you just had a big second quarter. You're playing the third quarter. Like, I don't care. I'm playing the hot hand, and that's, again, that goes back to like what I'm saying about Tibbs. Like, he made the adjustments he needed to make for us to win the games that we needed to win. And like I said, that was a great series. Yeah, it looked like it was close, but I just feel like we dominated where we needed to dominate, and I can't wait to see what we do to the Pacers.
Yeah, a lot. This series had me going like on a roller coaster because you already know we're in the Philly region, so there's a bunch of Sixers fans. I was getting DM'd every single game, text messages every single game after every single game. Oh, y'all stole game 2. And then like basically the Embiid 50-point game. So this was a lot. This was I'd argue this was probably the best series of the first round for sure. In the playoffs this year.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
To your point, Sean, it starts with Tibbs. I'm gonna start there. Making crucial adjustments throughout the series. It's like every game, like the game, you could see that the game plan changed, tweaked just a little bit. Where it was like, okay, Embiid was killing us. Switch off coverages a little bit. Neutralize him in like fourth quarters. Once Embiid started getting covered a lot, Maxey started cooking. Okay, switch coverages. Now neutralize Maxey a little bit. With every game, you could see like the strategy change just slightly. But it all centers around the defense, man. Like, even the one game where like Hartenstein is guarding Embiid, picks up 5 fouls in one quarter, which is just insane. You know what I mean? Switch in Precious Achiuwa. He gives us good minutes guarding Embiid. OG in the fourth quarter guarding Embiid basically shuts him down. No points in the fourth quarter. So it's like little micro adjustments on defense that really solidified like us winning this series. And then offensively, yeah, you said it, Mr. 11, Jalen Brunson, like. It's almost like the first 2 games of the series. It's like, okay, they're showing me different stuff. I kind of have to adjust. Don't really play well. But like once game 3 came, he literally was like on a whole different level. Nobody could guard him. Doesn't matter who the Sixers were throwing at him. The fact that he had almost 4 40-point games in a row to basically close out this series is like a testament to him. I think it's like Bernard King, Michael Jordan are like the only 2 people to do anything like that in recent history. So like the whole 1A conversation needs to go out the window because JB is it. He is our guy, the engine. And, I'm excited to see what he's going to do against the Pacers.
Totally agree. One thing I just wanted to bring up is that obviously JB's playing at an all-pro level. We're going to need other guys to hit shots. Sean, you brought up Josh Hart. That was a huge three-pointer. We brought up Dante DiVincenzo a few times during this call. He needs to step up. The Knicks were a different team in Game 6 when he played much, much better. He was much more involved defensively. After Game 5, I almost thought we had to go back to the drawing board. How do we stop Maxey? How do we stop Embiid? You know, Dante's not playing well. Who does OG cover? And thankfully, Dante stepped up in that last game and had Maxey for a lot of the game, and he played extremely well. You know, a couple steals, couple blocks. When he's involved and shooting his shot and being confident and aggressive in his game, the Knicks will go to a different level. You know, this year I thought he should have been in conversation for most improved player in the NBA. He has a special talent in the NBA. He needs to embrace it and really play his game in order for the Knicks to be able to score buckets and keep pace with the Pacers, in my opinion.
Hey, and listen, and to that point, that speaks to Tibbs' coaching, right? Like, DiVincenzo had a good first game. Game 2, shit the bed. What Tibbs do? Go to the bench. Bring McBride. Give minutes to McBride. Like, give Deuce the minutes. And what happened? That's an adjustment right there. And to your point, yeah, you're right. Like, our role players need to shoot shots. I really wasn't, to be honest with you, I really wasn't worried after Maxey had that big game. I think if you look at how we played that series, we basically said, we know Embiid's going to do what Embiid's going to do. Maxey may or may not have really big games, but we're not letting anybody else beat us. We're not letting any other player on this team dominate us. And listen, like I said it earlier about Tobias Harris. The man got cardio in that last game.
Listen,
he played 30 minutes, took 2 shots, had 0 points, and he makes $50+ million a year.
He makes $50 million, and he had a goose egg in a closeout game. That should tell you all you need to know.
We together played better than he did.
Oh yeah,
and we didn't even play.
For sure. But again, goes back to coaching, like you said, because DiVincenzo was lights out game 2, and then basically disappeared for 3 games. So Deuce got the minutes, and Deuce played good defense on Maxey. You know, with a couple of hiccups in game 5, but for the most part played very solid minutes. Even when we had a Bogey out there, he was playing good minutes until he got injured. So it's like I like the fact that Tibbs was able to like make those adjustments. Whereas like, okay, Hartenstein don't got it. Let's let Mitch bang with Embiid. Okay, Mitch is getting in foul trouble. Hartenstein is getting cooked by Embiid. All right, let's get OG some spot minutes on Embiid. So it's like those adjustments are like what are really going to be needed when we're moving further into the playoffs, because you can't just like, all right, I'm just gonna go with whoever just because they have the highest paycheck on the team. Super excited to see what's going to happen in this Pacers matchup. But I would like to kick off the dislikes, because I've been thinking about this for literally like 2 days now at this point. Can we officially say Joel Embiid is the dirtiest player in the NBA? Because, I don't know, at times I felt like I was watching a UFC match. Like, this guy literally went for a heel hook and tried to rip off Mitchell Robinson's leg. Okay? He goes to block the ball and palm smacks Jalen Brunson in the face. He had a whole handprint on his face shooting free throws. Like, elbows, tackling guys, like them hitting the floor. Like, it literally, he was doing everything. And I get it. He's a very large human being. Okay, being 7'2" and almost 300 pounds, like that's a lot of human to like move around. But come on, man, like that game 3 alone, he should have been ejected, and we should have had the gentleman's sweep at 5-1 if we're being like for real. You know what I mean? I don't know, Pat. What were your dislikes as far as how this series went?
That was pretty much it, honestly. I was really impressed with the way the Knicks played. I thought they played the right way. They played hard. They hustled, played great defense. They didn't get bogged down by all the physicality. Unfortunately, I lost a ton of respect for Joel Embiid over the last couple weeks. All year, I've been saying MVP, MVP. I think he's one of the best players in the game. I think he's special. He could do things bigs should not be able to do. He did a lot of things that bigs should not do in this series. You know, grabbing at ankles, hitting people in the face, throwing elbows, stuff like that. I understand it's the NBA playoffs and you try to win by any means necessary, but you can't let your competitiveness take you over the edge and then you become this dirty player. Now, from now on, as Knicks fans, you know, we'll remember this great series, but above all, we'll probably remember that Joel Embiid is one of the dirtiest players in the NBA, and that's going to stick with him. Unfortunately, that's my opinion. Mm-hmm. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, this one's tough. I'm like teetering. I think here's my thought. So with Embiid, you could tell, and this goes back to like the success we had. We got under his skin. Like at the end of the day, like we frustrated him, and I think it's a part of us frustrating him, and also him not being 100% healthy. Like he knew he wasn't healthy. He knew he couldn't do what he is capable of. Like we said before, like if he's healthy, he's the best player in the NBA, right? And I think what happened is you pile all that stuff on, frustration happens. Where if we compare, like there was that comparison of him and Draymond Green, I think that, you know, Draymond Green just talent-wise is not at the level that Embiid is, and it's just the way Draymond plays is just he's a pest on defense, and he's going to get physical, and he's going to push the limit, and he's going to get a little more physical to see if the refs are going to call it or not. And that's just kind of how you watch his game. That's what it looks like. With Embiid, again, I feel like we got under his skin. He wasn't healthy, so he's frustrated. They're losing games, even at home. We got Knicks fans, more Knicks fans at home games than Sixers fans, right? And I think that frustrates him. Were some of those plays dirty? Like, yeah, dude, come on. You're on the ground. Guys in front of you next to the basket. Another bigger guy. He's about to go up for a dunk, and then you grab his legs from the floor. He should have been thrown out that game. He should have been thrown out that game. He wasn't thrown out that game because he's Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. Period. Point blank. Period. I don't care what anybody says. So is he a dirty player? I think to a degree, but I think a part of that also in this series, you saw the frustration from him that like, and this probably speaks to what's going to happen with the Sixers move forward. Is Embiid going to stay? Is he like, what's going to happen with this team? Like, I think he's gotten to the point now. It's like, trust what process? Like, I'm the only person. Yes, we have Maxey. Like, he's came out of his shell, but like them two alone can't do it the way this roster's built. And again, I think the frustration poured over with Embiid, and you know, yeah, he started taking some swings at certain points in the game, and it's frustrating. But yeah, some of those plays were definitely dirty, and that's why I said I'm like in between. I hear y'all, but there's definitely these other factors.
I can understand that, like, and I agree with you. We probably got like maybe a 65% Joel Embiid. If we get 100% Joel Embiid, we probably don't win this series. Okay, because just like he is an unguardable player. And I literally said in a group chat, I was like, for the Sixers to win this series, somebody on the Sixers is going to have a 50-point game every single game. And then you look at the two games they won. Joel had a 50-point game. Maxey had a 46-point game. Okay, so like that kind of is like the tide that turned. Is like, I get it. You're injured. You're trying to be competitive. You're trying to, like, you know, will your team to victory. But like, to Pat's point, like you can't cross that line, man. And like, I get it. You guys are salty after game 2 and Maxey getting fouled in the corner late in that game. Yeah, late in that game. But like every game since then, I can point to at least 2 or 3 different Joel Embiid fouling a Knicks player, whether it was Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein, Brunson getting smacked around, almost like stepping on Josh Hart, like multiple occurrences where it's like, all right, man, like this dude should get a flagrant foul every single game after this point, you know. So that I'm not gonna forget that. Like, okay, cool, series over, we won, great. I'm not gonna forget Joel Embiid did all that stuff. Like, come on, shame on you. Is this your king? Like, for real? This is your MVP? Fuck out of here.
Exactly right. And think about the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, all these revolutionary players never ever had that dirty tag. They always rose above it and just did their thing. And guess what? They came out on top. That's not exactly what Joel Embiid's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and listen to that point. Like, and then here's my issue with Embiid. Like, again, yeah, I'm on the fence of, like, is he a dirty player or not? Like, again, I think there was factors in this series that kind of impacted his frustration as a basketball player. But for me, to your point about, like greatest players and the superstar of that team, like, you don't make excuses. Like, I'm tired of it. Like, you saw, like, when we won games, it was like Embiid had an excuse. He even, what that presser, the first presser, he was like, we're the better team. We're going to win the series. But his head is down. He's not looking at anybody. He's not looking at the camera. He's not trying to, ignite the team and say, hey, listen, we are the better team. We are going to win this series. We just need to make adjustments. No, it's excuses. It's like, oh, well, we called timeout, or that should have been a call to foul. Like, what are we talking about? Here, perfect example. After game 5, when Mitch the dumbest fouled Maxey
for the
4-point play.
Yep.
The after game report said that Maxey walked. Do you hear Brunson saying, "Oh well, they should have called the walk there. We would have won the game"? No, you don't hear any player on the Knicks complaining about it. You don't hear Tibbs complaining about it, because it is what it is. Things happen. Calls are missed. Like, don't make excuses. And I think that, for me, that is the downside for Embiid. Like, yes, he's a great talent. When he's healthy, he's the greatest player in the NBA. But, like, when things don't go right, he's quick to blame. Like, there's no blaming anybody. You got to be the leader of this team. You have to show confidence. Like, you got to ignite your players, like teammates. That's it, period. Don't make excuses. Things happen. This is just because you lost, you want to just blame it on somebody else? No. Blame it on the fact that Tobias Harris was a bystander this entire series, and he's your running mate. Yeah. Like, he's supposed to be he has a max contract, and technically he's supposed to be the second best player, but obviously Maxey has come out of his shell, and his coming out party was this year. Like, so yeah, moving forward, it's them two, and then technically, Tobias is supposed to be your third best player on the team. Yeah. He literally was the worst. He was the worst. He got outplayed by Batum.
Yeah. And
let that sink in. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
I said Batum.
Nicholas Batum.
Outplayed by him, and he doesn't even make a quarter. We could do an eighth of what you make.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got outplayed by him in the playoffs.
To your point, Sean, also, Jalen's talking about, yeah, I missed that free throw in game 5. Yeah, I turned the ball over with 20 seconds left. Like,
I made a mistake.
Yeah, he is accountable for the things that he does on the court. So yeah, that's like every NBA team might have like NBA talent. You might even have best individual players, but do you have leaders? Because leaders lead their team. They can be the best player on the team, and they can galvanize the team together to get the most out of their teammates. Even if we're talking about the game 6, Brunson drawing the double team, kicking it to Hart. He has 100% confidence that Josh Hart is going to make that 3. Ball fake, bang, cash. Bang! I was a little mad too, because you called me during the game, and I was watching the Sportsnet cast versus the the TNT cast. I wanted to hear Mike Breen because he hit the bang on the Josh Hart 3, but Sixers fans were not having it. I will say though, if we're talking about the Sixers moving forward, realistically, Maxey is really good at basketball. I think we can all agree on that. Personally, I think that should be who their focus should be on moving forward, as far as like who's going to be the 1A of their team. Kelly Oubre showed a lot during this series. He's a baller. I remember the knock on him was he couldn't shoot threes. I think like the last game he was like 6 for 9 or something crazy like that. Buddy Hield is a baller. So like, it's not all doom and gloom for the Sixers. I think if Embiid decides he wants to walk, you get out from under the Tobias Harris contract. Now you're talking about some moves that you can possibly make to shore up some deficiencies on your team. Because let's be real, Nick Nurse isn't a terrible coach. He's a championship winning coach. You know, just kind of played the cards that he was dealt. You know, having an injured MVP on your squad doesn't help your chances when you're going up against a squad. And let's be real, we're probably top 2 in the conference right now. So, like, you know, definitely a difficult spot to be in.
What are we thinking? What are we looking forward to in regards to this next series? Like, what are our thoughts?
Pat, what do you think?
I'm looking forward to the Knicks defense shutting down the high-paced Pacers. Just getting to watch a few of their games. They're fun to watch. They really are. Halliburton's awesome. He's passing from all over the court, throwing alley-oops from the entire court length. You know, obviously Obi Toppin's over there doing his thing. He's fun to watch, throwing it down. Yeah, I just want to see the Knicks defense continue to do their thing and shut down the Pacers offense. I'm thinking that they're going to hold them to, you know, below 110 points almost every single game, and that's exactly how we're going to win the series. I'm expecting another big series out of Brunson, and I think OG is just going to continue to have his presence felt all over the court, guarding 1 through 5 and just shutting down the opposition. What do you got, Chris?
Well, this series, I think, you know, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a callback to like old Pacers Knicks series, you know, back when Reggie was playing and cooked us back in the day. However, the Pacers are top offense in the league, or top 3 offense in the league. They want to push the pace. They want to run. They want to score points. We're a top defensive team in the league, so it's literally like, you know, unstoppable force, immovable object. We're gonna see which one is gonna triumph. I know there were a couple games where we weren't at full strength and we played against them and they beat us. So I forget what the season split was at. But yeah, I think the marquee matchup is going to be of the point guards. You got All-Star Tyrese Halliburton, All-Star Jalen Brunson. You know, that's both the engines for their team. I think that our supporting cast is heads and shoulders better than the Pacers. So I see us winning. I don't want to put predictions on it. We could probably do predictions at the end of this. But yeah, I think we have the edge in this series for sure.
Yeah. Listen, maybe I'm on a high horse, but I feel like we match up very well against the Pacers. The issue against the Sixers was we didn't really have a set center that could really guard Embiid, and we threw Mitch at him, we threw Hartenstein at him, like. But I think in this series they both match up. They're both the same type of centers as Miles Turner. Miles Turner can hit the 3 better than Joel, but we were prepared for that, right? Early in the series against the Sixers, Embiid was doing that. He was playing high. Go ahead, we want you to do that. And then guard-wise, like, we match up well against the Pacers. Bench-wise, we match up well against the Pacers. I think for me, we said it earlier, who's going to guard Jalen Brunson? Who's going to stop Jalen Brunson on the Pacers? Is it going to be Halliburton? So you're saying their best player is going to have to guard our best player and play both sides of the floor. I think we win that matchup because guess what? Jalen Brunson's not going to guard Halliburton.
No.
Not. He's going to play off. He's going to play off, and we're going to throw DiVincenzo, McBride, Josh Hart. We're going to throw all of them at Halliburton.
You might see OG on him at times.
If Siakam's not in the game, like, yeah. OG's going to have to strictly be guarding Siakam because Siakam balled against the Bucks. So, yeah. Again, we match up well there. So that's what I'm saying. I think we match up well. Pacers they got Obi coming off the bench. They got TJ McConnell coming off the bench. But again, we got people coming off the bench too that match up well. I think we see some more Precious this series, and I think we're obviously going to see some Deuce McBride this series. And again, they match up very well against the Pacers. We're not gonna. If you don't want to make predictions, I will. I say Knicks in 6. I think it comes down to if the Pacers can win in the Garden in the first 2 games. I think that's going to be the deciding factor of the series. Could they? They can. I am afraid of the fact of, the Pacers are going to grab the board and run, and that's their fast pace. Where sometimes, and this is like I feel like our downfall, and it even happened in the Sixers series. It's like at times, and this is why I hate when I like when we have close games. At times, when teams get leads on us, we start to get lazy and lax. Turnovers, we let people run the floor on us. Defense gets jacked up, and that would be the X factor of this series. Like if the Pacers can run the floor on us, that's going to be a problem. But again, if we slow the game down, Kris, I called you and I said, I don't care what happens in the next 4 minutes. Jalen Brunson needs to run high pick and roll every single offensive possession. I don't care what else is going on. I don't care who has the high hand. Jalen Brunson needs the ball in his hand, run the high pick and roll. They can't guard it. Same thing's going to apply for the Pacers. Are they going to be able to guard that?
No.
Run it every time. So, again, I think we match up well. I think we can win the series in 6. We just can't let them dictate the pace of the game. We need to dictate the pace of the game. Slow it down when we want to slow it down. Speed it up when we want to speed it up. Once we let them kind of control that, then we're in trouble. But that's my thoughts. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, great point, Sean. I totally agree. One aspect that's going to help the Knicks during the series is we are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the NBA. So as long as we could control those offensive boards, then we could kind of control the pace of play, and we won't let them outlet and go quickly down the other end of the other end of the floor. Excuse me. And another thing, Hartenstein in great shape, Mitch decent shape, Precious great shape. We could run the floor with these guys. We have the bodies to do this. So work the offensive glass and have the bigs run the floor. I'm really excited about this series. I like the Knicks' chances as well. Chris, final thoughts?
Yeah, I like I said, I do like the Knicks' chances. My only point of concern, and you kind of touched on it, Sean, with with teams going on runs and us getting a little lax on defense. Towards the end of the last series, rotation was cut to 7. We did lose Bogdan in the series. So now we're running 7 guys. So 7 guys against a team that really wants to run. And the gas tank is definitely going to be put to the test during the series. I was going to ask do you guys think we see more Precious minutes, particularly since Siakam is going to be playing heavy minutes during this series. I think Precious actually does match up pretty well with Siakam. You're going to probably see OG switch off a lot on Siakam as well. So do you guys think that Tibbs opens up the rotation? Maybe do we see Bogey come back for this series? I don't know how severe his injury is, but where do you think? Because I think our bench unit is going to be super critical in this series. We saw even in the last game against the Sixers, their bench actually outscored our bench. I mean, a lot of that was Buddy Hield, but we're kind of playing a little bit short right now. But I mean, that's kind of been the case for this whole season. Seemingly, somebody's been injured. But what do you guys think as far as our bench production going into this series with the Pacers?
Bogue's out indefinitely. He had foot surgery, so he's out. Which I'm perfectly not anything bad about Bogue, but I think it actually helps us because that's more minutes for our guards. But it also, like I alluded to before, Precious is gonna play. Precious is gonna play because he matches up well. Siakam, so that'll give OG a break. OG won't have to guard him every game, all game, and we can throw different things at him. Listen, I looked at the splits. Pat, you said it earlier. If we can keep the Pacers under 110, we're good. They won the season series 2-1, but the 2 games that they won, they scored at least 125 points. When we won, 105. So if we can keep them under 110, control the pace of the game, rotate, have a bigger rotation. I wouldn't want anyone else no one else can come in at this point. It's the 7 plus We instead of Bo getting minutes because he's out, Precious steps into that role, and we have a good rotation when it comes to the guards. And again, make the adjustments like Tibbs did. Whoever's the hot hand between DiVincenzo and McBride, like rotate that. Hart's gonna have to play the entire game for the most part, give or take how the series goes, and then obviously Jalen's Jalen. But Pat, what are your thoughts?
Yep, with you guys. Precious is going to have a role in this series, whether we like it or not. They need him. He's that third body. He can run. He could guard either Turner or Siakam. So that's another advantage that we have. It's just he's able to step out on the three-point line and play defense. I think, just like Kris said, we're going to go that seven-man rotation plus Precious, and that's it. I think the extra man off the bench would be Alec Burks, but I don't want to see him on the floor at all, to be completely honest with you. I think we roll with what's been working, and it'll be this rotation plus Precious. I'm expecting to see Precious have an impact in the series.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Sean, too. Knicks in 6. Indiana's probably going to steal 2 at some point, whether it's like one in the Garden and one at home. But yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait for Monday. Cannot wait.
And OG never played against the Pacers with us, right? You obviously so the last time he played against the Pacers was when he was on Toronto with Siakam, because he was inactive for the 3 games that we played them. So they haven't seen him.
Yeah, I think
He's a
we were
elite defender.
I think
we're good.
One of those games we were missing Brunson too. So.
Again, altering defense from OG. It's like special defense. I'm excited about this.
And then when he lifts up and dunks on people.
Oh my God! Can we just say that was like the highlight of one of the highlights from last series is just Joel Embiid under the basket, like no,
please.
Oh my God! Yeah, OG. I think Hart and OG are going to be the two X factors. Defense from OG and Hart just overall just banging on the boards, playing defense, scoring points when you can. I think for him, Jalen kind of said it like, shoot your shots. Like, you shoot them. If teams are going to let you be open and shoot them, cool. And you saw that at the end of Game 6. Bang!
Swish. Cool. That was nice. I liked. We got sweaty with the Knicks talk. Transitioning. Can you guys believe that the NFL draft happened while this series was going on? The NFL full swing with its draft happened during the NBA playoffs. What are your guys' surprises, some disappointments? How did your teams do? Sean, let's start you off with the Oakland Raiders on the clock. How do you think you guys did this draft?
I wish we were still the Oakland Raiders, but Las Vegas Raiders at this point. But yes, I've been a fan since prior to. I think we had top 5 drafts this year. And honestly, I was saying this to a friend of mine, another Raiders fan. This is probably the most excited I've been about. I have been about a draft since when we drafted Derek Carr, to be honest with you, for me personally. Like every pick, I feel like we got a player that's going to make an impact or can make an impact. So, did we get our quarterback? No, I don't think we didn't get our quarterback that we wanted. I think at the end of the day, we wanted Penix or Daniels, and if we didn't get them, that's it. Like we weren't gonna reach on anybody. We weren't gonna take a project. Like we already have we have a project in Aiden. We signed Minshew to be a backup, possibly be a starter. Like we didn't overpay for him. Like we paid him backup money, and he has the ability to potentially be a starter if he beats out Aiden in camp. But we went out and got literally like the highest ranked player in the draft in Bowers. I love the pick. I've always, and yeah, anytime teams have like 2 good tight ends, it's like immediately your mind goes to, oh, the Patriots, Gronk and Hernandez. But this is different. Like Brock Bowers, he is like Gronk in the sense of like he can run routes and things of that nature, but he also can get dirty in the trenches. So you combine him with Mayer, like we're gonna run the rock. Like we're gonna be able to run 11 personnel. We're gonna pound the rock, and yeah, you're gonna see some play actions, and we're gonna go over top. So I love that pick. And then the other thing is, I've always said like good teams build from within. Like you look at all the championship teams that have ever won. Majority of them have a lot of a lot of good play offensive line and a lot of good play on the D line. They build from within, and I think that's why I'm so excited about this draft, because we took Jackson Power Johnson out of Oregon. Dude hasn't allowed a sack in his career, and he was the highest rated pass blocker in the draft. Like I loved that pick, and dude, when you watch his hype video, like when he got after he got drafted, he said he's ready to kick some fucking ass and punch people in the mouth. Like that's what we need. That's the Raider way. Ill intent, get fucking physical, punch people in the mouth. And that's why I'm excited about it, because we got him. We got another offensive tackle, offensive lineman out of Maryland, which he had a very a high level pass offense rating. And I love it. We built from within, and that's what we're gonna do. We get the disappointment wise? Did we get the cornerback that I wanted us to get? Not really, but I think we got some potential where they don't have to step in right now, but they're gonna make a difference on special teams. So that's my initial like surprise. That's how I feel. Pat, what do you think? How the Giants?
The Giants did okay. Let's say I'm satisfied with the draft. I won't say that I'm happy with it. Just to touch on your point, Brock Bowers is going to be awesome. As long as the offensive coordinator for the Raiders is a little creative, he could let Mayer run that typical tight end role and put Bowers everywhere else. He's going to be a Swiss Army knife. Line him up as the fullback, play action fake, and then he's going to be wide open 75% of the time. But the Giants.
Hey, real quick, Pat, to that point, I love what you just said, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But just think of Cole Kmet.
Yep.
He had his best season last year in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And his offensive coordinators in Las Vegas now. So just saying.
Hey,
That's perfect.
look at that.
Okay, so the Giants draft was okay. I am satisfied with it. I will say that I'm glad that they didn't reach for a quarterback. I didn't quite think that J.J. McCarthy was the guy at 6. If they found a way to get back to 11, to get back to 15, and J.J. was still there, absolutely. But the Giants are not in a position where they could give away draft resources. They have holes all over the roster. So they were basically in the position where try to get their guys and the best player available, and I think they did an okay job of that. Malik Neighbors, he's going to be a difference maker coming out of LSU. Reminds me a lot of the Odell Beckham pick years ago. Once he catches the ball, special things are going to happen. I can't wait to see it. Second round draft pick was Tyler Nubin. He's from some of the draft gurus around, he was the number 1 rated safety prospect. He's supposed to be a culture changer. So that's the biggest thing. He's going to play impact on defense, but he's also going to be in the locker room changing the culture of the Giants, hopefully getting back to those winning ways. Drew Phillips, a little bit undersized at cornerback. He's versatile. He's going to play outside and in the slot. It seems like Shane Bowen is collecting an arsenal of these corners that could do a lot of different things. And then the final impact player that I thought the Giants got was Theo Johnson, who's the tight end out of Penn State. If you check his combine numbers, they're very, very similar to Jimmy Graham. So with all the reports of potentially Darren Waller retiring, this was a very, very important position for the Giants to fill. I think Theo Johnson's going to come in, make an impact right away as that number 2 tight end, maybe catch 5 or 6 touchdown passes. Once again, Sean, you said it. The best way to build an NFL roster is from the inside out. So you want to start at the trenches, defensive and offensive line. I would love to say I have some sort of confidence in the Giants' offensive line, but I don't. They haven't been good for the last, 5-6 years. So they didn't use any resources on these picks. So all in all, I'd say I'm a little disappointed with the Giants draft. I'm kind of in the wait and see mode right now. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Daniel Jones come back and he's healthy. That's all I could pray for. Chris, what do you got? The Jets did pretty good.
Yeah, I think the Jets had a pretty good draft. We didn't try to over pursue players. I think we actually traded out of the 10 pick to 11. Olu Fashanu. I mean, we are all in on keeping Aaron Rodgers upright. And this guy, offensive tackle from Penn State, huge pickup. I think he fills a definite need. Could probably play some backup to Tyron Smith. Could possibly move him all to other spots on the offensive line. I think I heard something crazy. He only let up 1 sack last season, which is like nuts. I think I am never sad when we go offensive line because, again, to your guys' point, you got to build from the inside out, and that's probably some of the most important players to draft in the NFL. And then we filled in need positions. We got Malachi Corley. Is probably going to play the slot receiver role, which we had a lot of issues with last season. And then with the departure of Delvin Cook, we went running back. Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, can probably help out with the run game. And then, this was like a super deep defensive back draft. So back end of the draft, we got Stiggers and Jalen Key, just to add some more depth and to some pieces that, our defense was already ranked top 10 in the NFL last season. So this is just adds a little more depth to a pretty deep defensive core that we have. So I like what we did. Again, offensively, fingers crossed, everything is banking on, Ron staying upright and being able to sling the ball. So, we get him a little bit of help. We shore up the offensive line, do a little bit on defense. Can't ask for any more than that.
Yeah, the Jets had a really solid roster as it is. Maybe some aging superstars at certain positions, but it seems like they kind of backfilled them, which is always a smart way to build your roster. You mentioned it, Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin, big running back. He should be the secondary back to Breece Hall now. He's going to be a big bruiser. He's going to be like what A.J. Dillon has been doing for the last few years. Brandon Jacobs in the Giants. Think like that kind of running back.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what the role they wanted Dalvin Cook to play last season. He just couldn't get carries on the field. And, I mean, Hall was just like, he picked right up from, the season before he got injured. So I think that'll be like a nice, 1-2 punch, thunder and lightning, a la Bradshaw and Jacobs for your Giants.
Mm-hmm.
What are some surprises in the draft, just overall, that you guys think? I'll give mine because I was super entertained watching the Falcons draft for whatever reason. They go and they give what's his name, freaking Cousins all this money, and then with their first pick, they take a quarterback. And you see the owner of the Falcons coming down in that conversation he was having with the GM, did you know we paid a quarterback in free agency? And he's just trying to reverse engineer, no, but you see, this is a good plan, So now we're gonna give, our roster is gonna be shored up at quarterback for however the foreseeable future. We won't have any money for anybody else. So I just thought that was highly entertaining. Pat, what was your surprise moments of the draft outside of your team?
So I will say the Falcons was definitely the head scratcher of the draft, and I will get into that soon. But my surprise of this draft was, so as a Giants fan, I'm obviously watching the NFC East. My surprise of the draft was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders having both excellent drafts. Unfortunately, as a Giants fan, you don't like to see the other teams in the division get better and better. I think they both knocked their drafts out of the park. Both of them got 4 to 5 impact players that will play right away, probably within the next 2 years, and make a huge impact on the field. Just the Eagles. The Eagles got the best defensive back in the draft in Quinyon Mitchell. And then they double down with the second best defensive back in Cooper DeJean. How does this happen to a team that needs this kind of secondary help? It's unbelievable. Jalix Hunt, I'll be honest, I don't know much about him. I assume if they're drafting him in the third round, then they know something more than I do. But then they get Will Shipley at running back, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and then Johnny Wilson, who's a 6'6", 230-pound wide receiver in like the 6th round. Like, the Eagles, the rich get richer, and it's going to be, another tough few years for the Giants, just seeing Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and all that talent every single, year, twice a year. And then Washington, they got their cute quarterback of the future in Jaden Daniels, who's the former Heisman winner. I think he's going to be special. I'm not looking forward to seeing him for the next 5 to 10 years. Johnny Newton is one of the best defensive interior linemen in this draft, somehow got him in the second round. And then they got a starting corner, a starting tight end fullback, and then Luke McCaffrey, who, I don't know if you guys know this, but Christian McCaffrey's pretty freaking good. So if Luke is at least 3/4 of the talent of Christian, then they're in pretty good shape. So I see the Washington draft and the Philly draft, and I'm a little jealous. So that's really my surprise, is that the Giants are kind of taking a step back even further during this draft. Sean, what's your surprise?
Yeah, I was saying to somebody, because you're saying Washington, I was saying to somebody after the draft, I'm like, Washington and Arizona had themselves a draft. Mm-hmm. Like, they had a lot of picks. They addressed a lot of needs. Like, I wish, obviously, like I said, I was super excited about the Raiders draft, but, like, if I was a Washington fan or Arizona fan, I'm like, we made out. Like you said, like with Washington, they got their quarterback of the future. They filled a lot of holes that they had, because last season they traded away Chase Young. They were getting rid of things. Like, they were trying to build something for the future, and I think they moved the needle a lot more than people think with this draft, big time. And Arizona, same thing. They got a lot of picks, filled a lot of holes. Yeah, the Eagles. Well, first off, let me go back. You both said something about the Falcons. They literally paid a stopgap quarterback starting money for the future. Mm-hmm. They just did. And hindsight's 2020, because they did it before they drafted Penix. But, like, come on, what are we talking about here? Like, you just paid Kirk Cousins guaranteed $100 million guaranteed. $100 million. Like, there's no way you're getting out of that unless you're just going to eat that money. And then for the GM to basically say after the fact, like, we drafted Penix and we're okay with him sitting for 2 to 3 years. I get that if it was Jordan Love, right? The Packers did the same thing. They drafted Jordan Love and had him sit for a couple years, right? But they didn't draft him at the top 10 pick in the NFL draft. What are we talking about here? So, like, it's just crazy to me that they did that. And I don't understand why. Like, it makes no sense. And then for them to do that with all the needs they need at linebacker and cornerback, they didn't address any needs with their first 4 picks. So, like, I don't know what the Falcons are doing. I know, head coach wise, huge, amazing hire. I thought getting Kirk Cousins, like, all right, they're about to go all in, and they're going to surround him with the pieces that they need. They didn't do that.
Nope.
So it's like a head scratcher for me. Like, that's surprising to me. Like, what are we talking about here? And then, yeah, the Eagles, I think the NFC East just got tough, like really tough. And I've shared my opinion about what I feel, what division is the best in the NFL. And obviously I'm semi-biased in regards to the AFC West, but like the NFC East just got really tough. And I think Washington's going to surprise a lot of folks. I think they're going to be better than what probably is expected. And the Eagles, the one thing that kept them from being a Super Bowl team is that they had no secondary. And to your point, Pat, they literally just went out and got 2 of the best DBs in the draft.
Yep.
Which one of those they traded with Washington? What are we talking about? Insider trading. Now, I think it's more Howie Roseman is an amazing GM. Like, he's just good at what he does. And even though they got the 2 players that they needed, they also got future picks. Mm-hmm. So he addressed the need now with a team that's literally on the verge of being a Super Bowl team, and you got picks for the future.
Yep.
Like, he's a genius. He's a genius.
And here's a little bit of silver lining for you, Pat. The Dallas Cowboys did nothing. So so yes, maybe Washington jumps up the ladder a little bit, but as long as all those teams are still better than Dallas, apparently is like the sentiment that I'm hearing from a lot of Eagles, Giants fans, even some Commander fans. But yeah, I think I agree with you guys. Commanders getting Jaden Daniels was huge draft for them, filling a lot of needs. Yeah, and it's going to be fun to watch. I'm actually like super excited to see how both of these divisions play out, because like you said, Sean, you guys are in a very tough division too, and it's like who's gonna rise up to compete with that juggernaut of a team in Kansas City.
We are. We'll be the ones that make sure that they don't three-peat, because we're gonna punch them in the mouth. We're gonna punch them in the mouth. We're gonna surprise a lot of people. I've been saying it. We beat them last year, and nobody counted us to do it, and we did it, and we're going to do it again. We may win both games, just FYI.
If anyone knows how to do it, you guys. AP knows from the Super Bowl runs, shut down a high-scoring offense. You run the football, you control the clock, you get turnovers when you can. You try to limit the offense. I think, if anyone, the Raiders have the way to do it.
I do have a question for Sean. Sticking in the AFC West. So, as part of making sure that Aaron Rodgers stays upright, the Jets, I feel a little type of way that they traded Zach Wilson to the Denver Broncos. I thought having Zach on the team as kind of like insurance, because I personally feel he played well enough to at least be a backup. And at times they put him like third on the depth chart to make sure that he wasn't going to play. And then like, oh, we're losing again. And then brought him back and made him the starter again. And he showed flashes that he is a talented player. He's definitely a serviceable backup. What are your thoughts about Denver? Because they're also in your division, and they also drafted a quarterback. It's seemingly going to be an open competition for who's going to start in Denver. What are your feelings about them?
Did you say the donkeys?
I missed the donkeys.
You cut out there. I am not worried about I haven't been worried about the Broncos in 7 years.
Okay.
Okay, like I'm not worried about them. They're a terrible team. I'm not a fan of Sean Payton. Like I wasn't a fan of Bo Nix. I literally was telling my friend, I was like, I hope we do not try to draft Bo Nix. Like, I hope that does not happen. I don't want him. I'm not a big fan of him. Mm-hmm. And obviously, y'all traded over Zach Wilson, and he doesn't scare me either. And like, here's the craziest thing: they got rid of their best defensive player. Mm-hmm. That was the only person that I was afraid of. Well, Surtain, yeah, but Simmons, I was afraid of him. Ball hawk. But guess what? He's gone. Now what? So, listen, I'm not. My eyes are set on the Chiefs. That's who I'm worried about. I'm not afraid of the donkeys, and I know Pat may not agree with me. I'm not afraid of the Chargers either. I don't care. I'm Chiefs. That's who we need to beat. If we can't beat them, then yeah, we don't deserve to be in the playoffs. We don't deserve to be anywhere. That's it. That's the benchmark right there.
Listen, I put it on record. Timestamp this video. Zach Wilson, starting quarterback, Denver Broncos, Week 1.
I don't see that. Yeah,
okay.
I can't. That's hot. That's scorching.
That's a scorching ass hot take right out my butthole. I'm telling you right now.
All right, there's probably the kids that may end up watching this.
Listen, when I post these videos, I make sure I hit the checkbox and say, "Yo, not for kids." So we're good.
Well, if that's the case, I'm just saying that take is like you doing yard work in 98-degree weather, booty hole sweaty. Like that's terrible. Like that is a bad take. No. Zach Wilson may not be in the NFL after this season. Just FYI.
Okay. Fair.
I disagree. Respectfully disagree. I think Zach Wilson finds a little something in Denver. I think New York was the worst place
Oh yeah, it
on
was
planet
terrible.
Earth for somebody like Zach Wilson to be, because they will just chew you up and spit you out if you are not mentally prepared to do this. So
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to go hide behind Bo Nix for maybe half the year. Bo Nix is going to get hurt because he's undersized, and then Zach Wilson comes in and actually makes a positive impact. I don't think Denver's a 500 team, but I think Zach will come in and make a positive impact and actually make the offense look like it's a legit offense.
He's trash. I'm sorry.
Fair.
We
Fair
gonna
enough.
agree to disagree.
Fair,
He
fair
is
enough.
garbage.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But you know what it is right now. It's time for It's time for our favorite segment. Is it Feast or is it Fumble? Mr. Chino, what do you got for us this week?
I got two good ones for us. So, one a little off topic. I know we've been talking a lot about basketball and football, but first, everybody knows who Mike Trout is. When he stormed into the league, it was kind of like he's like the next thing. Like he is the guy. But he just got stuck on a bad team for a long time, and that organization really hasn't done anything to help him outside of getting Ohtani. But he, at this point, in his career, he's been getting injured a lot. He hasn't been on the field, and that's been the problem. And now, just recently, with the news that he had to get MCL injury, he had to get meniscus surgery. Feast or famine, is Trout's career over? Pat, what do you think?
This is a fumble or famine, whichever you'd prefer. Mike Trout's career is not over. Someone who could hit major league pitching as well as Mike Trout, his career will never be over unless he flips the switch. So fourth serious injury in 4 years. Back in 17, a torn thumb ligament. 2021, calf strain. 2022, back issues. 2023, broken bone in hand, and now a torn meniscus. So the guy just can't catch a break. The Angels seriously have to look within and see why their best player is getting hurt year over year over year, and they have to try to address this issue. The guy is hitting 300 for his lifetime, has almost 400 home runs, almost 1,000 RBIs. Sean, I know you played a lot of slow pitch softball, so there's always that one guy down the end of the bench that doesn't play the field, doesn't run the bases, but he could absolutely smack a softball or a baseball. This is why Mike Trout's career is not over, is because the DH position will continue to be in baseball, and Mike Trout could hit a baseball like almost none other can. So I would sign him for $10 to $15 million, send him down the end of the bench. He doesn't play the field. He barely runs the bases, but he's going to be one of the best pinch hitters in baseball, and he's going to be one of the best DHs in baseball. And that's what you signed him up for, and you know what you're going to get out of him. So I think we're going to see another 4 to 5 years out of Mike Trout, but it's really unfortunate we didn't get to see, a full career of what he was actually capable of. But he'll be back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree with Pat. I'm going to fumble on Mike Trout's career being over. This one's a little close to home for me because a friend of mine actually went to high school with Mike Trout. He is a Jersey boy from Millville, New Jersey. And he's just like phenomenal athlete coming into the MLB. There was like conversation comparisons between him and Bryce Harper when they were both young players coming into the league, like who's going to have the better career. Now, obviously, I guess you could say to date, Harper is winning that discussion because, he's been to World Series, been on championship teams, but also kind of like in a similar space of like, we got to play him at first. He's definitely not as athletic as he used to be. And the same thing can be said about Trout. To Pat's point, he's had a lot of injuries, and it's just kind of like been buried under these teams that haven't really like gone anywhere, particularly in the postseason. But again, you get him on the right team where all he has to do is hit. He can still hit the major league fastball. He can still knock him out the park. It's just got to stay, part of getting paid in these sports leagues is availability. So, if he can get his health right and get back to at least swinging, again, stick him on the end of the bench, let him cook. You know, I would take a chance, especially on a team that needs batting help or needs help scoring runs. I would take a chance. So, not completely over, you know, but fumbling on that one.
So I hear you both, and I am literally feasting and fumbling depending on what happens in the future. I think that if he stays on the Angels, his career is over. Like they're a terrible organization. They have done nothing to help this man outside of, again, getting Ohtani and now letting Ohtani leave. But Ohtani was smart. He was like, I'm out. I'm not staying here. There's nothing here for me. And in this case, Mike Trout is stuck here, right? So I think from a career perspective, if he stays on the Angels, yes, to your point, Pat, yeah, he is going to have to make that decision that, you know what, I'm going to go DH like a Edgar Martinez and just smash home runs. If he does that on the Angels, his career's over. He needs to find a better team, like Kris said. Like he needs to go to them and say, hey, listen, I need y'all to move me. Like, I don't know what it is, but y'all need to figure it out because I can't do this anymore. And he needs to have that conversation because, yeah, if he goes to a winning organization that doesn't need him to play the field, hey, he can come to New York. And Giancarlo Stanton can go out, bring Mike Trout in. He could be our DH moving forward. And yeah, you know, he can play the field a couple times. And that's it. Maybe a couple times. Like, we're talking less than 10 games in the field. Outside of that, he'll be in the lineup every day, and he will smash home runs. So, that's the only way his career will not be over. And that's why I say feast or fumble, because for his career not to be over, he needs to go somewhere else. You know, period. Point blank. That's the problem, and it sucks. It sucks because, again, they have done wrong by him. And he stayed loyal. Like, has stayed loyal to them. Because, to your point, the whole Harper thing, like, everyone's like, oh, he needs to come back home and he needs to come to Philadelphia. He stayed. And he stayed loyal. And that's the downside of this whole conversation.
Yeah. Just like to point out, you always have, like, a little caveat where, like, you know, me and Pat like to take definite defining positions on these topics, whereas you always seem to find a way, be like, you know, it is, but if it is like this, then it's definitely like, you literally just basically took the feast and the fumble at the same time. Like that, come on, bro.
Hold on. We can rewind the tape, Pat. You said you're feasting or fumbling. Like you said that, even though you used the words, but I know you're saying you're fumbling on it at the end of it. But in this case, like, we're talking about, there's a lot of factors into this. Like you said, Pat, like he needs to go to be a DH. That's the only way his career won't be over. If he continues to play the field, it's over. Like, this dude will get hurt again.
You said feast or fumble, is Mike Trout's career over? Pat said famine fumble, which is a fumble. I said fumble. You're like, yeah, it's fumble, but it's feast at the same time. If this situation, no, like, pick something. Pick something.
Whose segment? Moving on.
Pick something.
Next on the docket, McGregor. McGregor's making his return. He's coming back. Are we feasting on that? Or are we fumbling? Kris, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. This is a total feast on McGregor coming back to the UFC. Listen, UFC has a knack for just making fighters household names and stars. However, we can all acknowledge when they get a superstar, because that's what Conor McGregor is. We're talking Conor McGregor. We're talking John Jones. We're talking Ronda Rousey when she was on top. When you get that next level of star in your organization, it just throws the PPVs through the roof. And McGregor is prime time. Now, you know, some people will say, yeah, he doesn't really need to fight. You know, he made all that money when he fought Mayweather. You know, he's got the whiskey company. You know, he's been in movies and stuff. He doesn't really need to fight. Listen, sometimes fighters just have it in them to say, you know what, I need to compete on the highest level, and I'm just going to go. And multiple times McGregor has said, "Look, I'll fight anybody in dress shoes, in a parking lot, in the rain, on a beach, wherever." So he is a high-level mixed martial artist, and I am super excited that he's deciding that he wants to come back. Now, will rust be a factor? He hasn't fought in over 2 years. He did have the leg fracture, which held him out for a really long time. So I don't know what his conditioning level is going to be. I don't know where he is as far as his return. But I'm super excited to get one of the real superstars in mixed martial arts back on pay-per-view. Pat, what do you got?
Yeah, Chris, you're totally right. Conor McGregor is one of the biggest superstars in not only MMA, but in all of the sporting world. Roadhouse just came out. I had no interest in seeing Jake Gyllenhaal, but guess what? Conor McGregor was in there, and he looked badass. It was he was terrifying. Yeah, he might have a future in the movies because he is absolutely terrifying. But just Conor McGregor is one of the biggest draws in the sport. So just getting another fight out of him, it just makes money for absolutely everyone involved, and it's great television. I saw one victory in his last 8 years, coming off the serious leg injury. So I'm a little skeptical about how well he's going to fight. Hopefully he hasn't been spending too much time with his other passions like acting and whiskey and stuff like that, and he's been hitting the gym really, really hard, because I know for a fact Michael Chandler has been. I'm a little nervous about Conor McGregor's odds to win this fight, but I'm seeing that Chandler's head defense is honestly one of the worst in MMA. So I'm going to take Conor McGregor to knock him out, and I'm going to actually order this pay-per-view. So I can't wait for it. McGregor's the best. He's exciting. He's great for the sport and great for the media. So I'm feasting on this in every way. What do you got, Sean?
All right, Chris, this is what you wanted. Yes, I am feasting on this, and just for different reasons. In the sense of,
let's go.
Yes, I get it. He is Conor McGregor. He is the guy. But I alluded to this maybe a couple months ago. I said UFC is turning into entertainment, and you know what McGregor's going to do? He's going to bring the entertainment. He's going to put people in the seats. He's going to bring in the money. He's going to bring in the revenue. He's got the whiskey deal. He's in the movies. He's a superstar. And I told y'all before, yes, there's the whole fighting aspect of UFC, but it is entertainment to a degree. Are fights decided? Yes, maybe no. I don't know. But what McGregor's going to do is he's going to get Dana White a lot of money. He's going to bring a lot of people, their eyes, to UFC. And I think that demographic is going to grow because of the things McGregor has done outside of UFC. Whiskey, the movie. Now he's considered technically considered an entertainer, right? So I think that's what I'm feasting on. He's bringing that aspect back. I will be curious to see where he goes though. This next fight's going to come up depending on what happens. What's next, right? Weight classes. He's fought in 4 different weight classes, as low as 145, as high as 185, I believe. Mm-hmm. So he could be in any weight class. What's that going to look like? What I would probably, if I had to pick something what would be crazy to see is maybe him go for that BMF title, because that weight class, he has fought in that weight class. He has fought in a featherweight weight class. Him versus Max Holloway.
If him and Holloway
have them just destroy each other, you saw what Max and Justin Gaethje did. That fight was crazy. Mm-hmm. Now imagine and insert superstar. That could be some big stuff. So I'm feasting on it, man. I'm feasting on it for the entertainment. I'm feasting on it from what he can bring to the table in regards to his fighting style. Yeah, I'm all for it. It's just going to take UFC to the next level. That's just what it's going to do.
Yeah, and to your point, Sean, I think that's the one element that the UFC doesn't have on a consistent basis, which is why I think the partnership or them purchasing the WWE was such a big deal, is because what wrestling does is like it markets superstars very well. And it also teaches their athletes. Their athletes really have to hone their like mic skills versus like the UFC, they got all the killers. They got all the guys that are like super, high level fighters. However, some of them are just, let's be honest, they're not interesting. They don't speak well. They don't know how to sell a fight. They don't know how to sell a promotion. Connor kind of like bridges the gap between those two things because he's super charismatic, high energy guy, can sell a fight, and can actually like fight his ass off. To your point, Pat, I don't know if he wins this fight against Chandler, but I know one thing. Just seeing some of the promo leading up to it, it's gonna be fun to watch. Definitely, it's gonna be fun to watch. Now, Sean, I don't know if fights are scripted, like in wrestling, because listen, I watched UFC 300 and Pereira, getting that uppercut and knocking dude out, didn't seem scripted to me. But it is what it is.
Oh my God! I just think about like that fight when dude kicked him in the groin area and the ref he's like, "No, chill, knocked him out." Like, Jesus Christ, put him to sleep. But listen, that could be a further conversation.
Yeah, that could be another topic for another day.
I think at the end of the day, just the way you see you see wrestling do it. Is there a way to script things? Yeah, there is a way to script things. You could have a conversation with somebody and be like, "Hey, I need you to kind of not go as hard, and I'll promise you this." And money talks, man. And again, that's why I said it's entertainment at the end of the day, and it's moving towards entertainment even more. With how much like the demographic of people that they're bringing in, it's just, again, it's turning into a lot more of entertainment with the combination of still the fighting. So I don't know. We'll see. So that's it for me. Feast or Fumble. Pat, what you got for us? We gonna earn some money? We gonna make some money today?
Yeah, we're gonna make some money. So my bets are for tomorrow. It's the Sunday slate. You guys know what the deal is with the Rangers. The Rangers start their series against the Canes tomorrow. If they're playing, you want to bet on them. They won the President's Cup, so just continue to roll with that. You want to bet the Rangers money line and Adam Fox have a point. You should bet it every single game during the 7-game series. Do it, okay? But that's not the best bet. So the
Rangers,
best bet for tomorrow.
Rangers? You said Rangers?
Here we go.
And Alan Fox a point.
Adam Fox 1 point.
Every game. I'm betting it every game. Parlay it.
So our best bet for this week is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Orlando Magic tomorrow. We're going to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers money line. In the Cavaliers and Magic series, the home team has won the last 11 games in a row. Game 7 in Cleveland. Also, in Orlando Magic games, the home team has covered the spread in the last 11 of 12 games. So once again, just leading us to believe that the Cavs are going to take Game 7 home. In addition to the Cavs money line, we're doing our boy Paolo to have 20-plus points. Paolo has hit 20-plus points in 9 out of his last 10 games. So you want to do the Cavs money line and Paolo to have at least 20 points. It's going to be plus 124 on DraftKings, and hammer it. You're going to win this bet.
I am writing down.
Got a shivering over here. I might even throw a freaking lotto and have him go over 30.
Hell yeah! Is
just saying.
Correction?
I like that. He's special.
Question: is this the first Game 7 of the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the only Game 7, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we don't gotta worry. We don't gotta worry about those peasants. Or whatever.
No.
All right. Like
we're resting.
Yeah, we're good. We're getting healthy.
We need it. We definitely need it. Get some reserves for this next track meet that's about to happen on Monday.
Oh, we're built for it. Let's go.
Goodness.
I ain't got no worries and doubts at all.
Final thoughts. What do we got, guys? Pat, what are you looking forward to?
Just the best time of year. We're so lucky right now in the New York market to have the Rangers and the Knicks playing so well. The Yankees are thankfully doing their thing after a slight step back from the Orioles series, let's say. But the Knicks and Rangers both won 50 games this year. They're both moving on to the next round of the playoffs. They both won their first series in convincing fashion. I'm very, very lucky, very, very happy. I'm just looking forward to the next 2 weeks of seeing both of these really solid teams continue their journey towards championships. Can't wait. What do you got, Sean?
Hey, we're both New York fans outside of football, but I think you make a really good point. I think we're in a very awesome time right now. Rangers are good, Knicks are in the playoffs, winning. The Yankees we are looking really good. Outside of that series, we lost, but the Orioles, obviously, we already knew that. Like the Orioles, they're going to be our competition, right? They're going to be the team that we gotta pace with this season. But I think it's a good time to be a New York fan. In a long time coming. Especially from a Knicks perspective. Like last time we had 150 games was 2013.
Yep.
My wife was joking around and said, "You're not a Knicks fan." I'm like, we don't talk about the Knicks because they've sucked forever. They've been bad. That's why we don't talk about, like, during this time of year, we're never talking about the Knicks. That's just what it is. So, yeah, I'm super excited about, like, looking forward to it, man. Maybe we can have a couple parades in New York that we could physically go to.
Yeah. Listen,
Kris, what you got?
I agree. I will overlook the bandwagon fans that have seemingly jumped on the New York Knicks because y'all ain't been through the suffering like I've been through the suffering. But I don't want to get on my Stephen A. Smith right now and talk about we haven't won since 1973 and all that whatever. My earliest memory is us losing in the finals to the Spurs, okay? So I've been a fan that long. And that's fine. It's fine. We'll take all the support we need. A lot of guys have said it. When the New York Knicks are good and the NBA is good, okay? Like when the Knicks and Lakers are good, the NBA is good, okay? Fortunately, the Lakers suck, but nobody cares. Right now, we're talking about the Knicks, baby, and second round series, road to Eastern Conference Finals. Possibly NBA Finals. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited. That's all I can say. I'm excited. Let's go. So as always, like, share, subscribe. This brings us to the end of the pod. I greatly appreciate you guys' support. For Mr. Chino, for Patty Puts, I am the real Kris Mac. This is Feast or Fumble, and we'll catch you on the next one.